Tonight's Xfinity TV high school football game of the week post-game show is brought to you by the Pittsburgh Sports Report, Pittsburgh's premier sports publication. Don't forget to visit them on the web at pittsburghsportsreport.com. Chris Shublin, Ellis Cannon, our entire Viewpoint Production Services crew here tonight at Penn Hills, where the Woodland Hills Wolverines defeated Penn Hills by a final score of 19-7. All the scoring in the first half here tonight. Miles Sanders on the second play from scrimmage, and this was set up by a short kickoff and then a penalty against Penn Hills for unsportsmanlike conduct that gave Woodland Hills the ball deep in Penn Hills territory. Sanders on the second play from scrimmage ran it in from 40 yards out. That was with 11:25 to go in the first period of play, and the race was on. The kick for the point failed. Harry Randall, their quarterback, scored with 5:29 to go in the first period of play. The run for the conversion failed, so it was 12-0 at that point. Then Penn Hills made it interesting, with about 8+ minutes left in the second period. Cameron Richardson actually picked up a fumble and took it 2 yards for a touchdown. This was after Jones ran it down the sideline. Looked like he was going to go in, but it got hacked out from behind, and Cameron Richardson was right on the spot. He carries it in for the touchdown, making it a 12-7 ball game. And Woodland Hills scored again, getting itself some insurance and some separation on the scoreboard to go up 19-7. It was Randall, his second touchdown of the night, a 15.5-yard run. This time Cassidy got the point after kick.
I thought of Franco Harris on the play that was scored by Cameron Richardson. I asked him one time why and how it all unfolded, regardless of who touched the ball in the immaculate reception. He said Joe Paterno always taught us to follow the ball. Now, the man who made that fumble recovery and touchdown is a guard. Now, admittedly, he's not a 350-pound guard. He's about 190 or 210 or so, but he was way downfield for where he should have been, and somewhere Joe Paterno had to be pretty proud of that.
Let's take a look at our PSR player of the game right now while we have the opportunity. And the quarterback of the Woody High Wolverines did a pretty good job running the offense here tonight and running the football, and that was his 13-yard run for a touchdown. And then a little bit later, this was from 15.5 yards away, looking at picking his blocks, finding a lane, then finding the pylon on the far side. Harry Randall from 15.5 yards out. Cassidy out of the extra point kick. That was the touchdown that was provided Woodland Hills with the insurance here. And there's a look at Harry Randall on the field right now. He joins us. Harry, pretty good ball game. 13 rushing attempts, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns in this ball game, and you ran your offense pretty well out there tonight. It started out to be a little chippy out there between your two sides, though.
Yes, sir.
Well, tell me about the emotion that came into this ball game.
I knew it was a rivalry game, so we always willing to go after this game with a good win. So we all fought and we kept moving.
Let's talk a little bit, Harry, about the pressure on you. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about you taking over the quarterback spot for some period of time. Obviously, you're quite blessed in your skill sets, and yet tonight you lose Miles in the first half, and the pass game really wasn't as crisp as I'm sure you would like it. Talk a little bit about what you were able to do stepping up in order to get these guys through this game and get another W.
Well, the whole game I was talking to my linemen, kept telling them to keep fighting and keep trying to make the right blocks, pick up the stunts, and we did that, and then we was able to keep holding them back the whole game. So.
Yeah, I don't know how close you thought you might have been on some of those pass connections, but I got to give a lot of credit to the Penn Hills defensive backs. It looked like you were going to throw some long bombs tonight. They were going to be complete, but then all of a sudden somebody came out of nowhere and swatted those balls down. How frustrating was that to you as the quarterback of the Woody High Wolverines?
It was frustrating. I think our players was kind of tempted to get the ball, so they were missing it, like trying too hard. So I give it up to the D-backs for Penn Hills for working hard and doing like that.
Hey, Harry, you mentioned a really interesting point there, talking about the stunts and the blitzes, and obviously Penn Hills does a whole lot of that. They run a lot of multiple sets. Your offensive line is still young, but they've got a lot of experience. Those guys did a terrific job, and it's got to make you feel good to know you got Art Tompkins that could come in, put up about 50 yards in that game, and take some of the pressure off the offense as well.
Yes, sir. Art's real nice. I like the way he runs. He worked hard at practice. He's one of our hardest workers.
Mm-hmm.
And we just stepped it up and did a good job throughout the whole game.
Harry, we congratulate you on your performance tonight and on the victory. Good luck in the playoffs.
All right, thank you.
All right, Harry Randall, the quarterback of the Woody High Wolverines, did a pretty nice job maneuvering that offense downfield, and well, he's absolutely right. It had to be frustrating. Malik Russell was the guy from Penn Hills who was really causing havoc in that secondary. Every time Harry looked like he was going to complete a long pass, it was number 7, Malik Russell, who came out of nowhere to bat balls away.
He did. I mean, he was all over the ball tonight, and he was a very impressive player defensively. And I was impressed with Penn Hill's defense, and I was impressed by their swarming nature. And you know, candidly, I thought that might be a bit of an advantage, the Woodland Hills offense against their defense. And the score indicates that. But on the other hand, I thought that their defense was very good.
Woodland Hills is going to the playoffs next week, 19-7. Winner here tonight. Coach George Novak is with us on the sideline tonight. George, obviously, you had to do it for much of the game without Miles Sanders tonight. And I realize this isn't a one-man game, but you know, how much of that was him being injured, and how much of that was a precaution trying to hold him back for next week and the second part of the season?
Well, you know, Miles is a great athlete. He's had a great year. He twisted his ankle, and we felt it best that he didn't play this game. Just rested him, see how he does this week at practice.
How important is it, Coach, when that happens, to have an offensive line that you've had in place, even though they're young, and to be able to rely on them, particularly against a defense that plays so many multiple sets, and as you taught me up this week, runs those blitzes and stunts all over the place?
Yeah, they caught us a couple times, Ellis, on the stunts, made some big plays. I give Penn Hills a lot of credit. They came out ready to play, and it was a 4-quarter ball game the whole time. They hit very well. I give a lot of credit to their kids that played very hard. Their staff had a good scheme for us. They picked up a lot of things we did well. So I give them a lot of credit defensively for what they did. You know, we had some pass plays, and they broke a couple up. Defensively, our kids, you know, worked real hard this week. And, you know, it's a tough offense, and, you know, they cracked a few on us, but we were able to stop them most of the time before they could score.
You mentioned about that defense not over pursuing it. When they didn't do that and they kept their eye on the quarterback, as you told me, that would make the difference. And for the most part, it did. Were you surprised to see Kisner come back in the second half?
Yeah. You know, we already had a concussion. He wasn't going to play. And, you know, I guess he was cleared to play, and he played in the second half. He's a very good athlete. You know, they're a very good team. They're a tough play for whoever gets them in the playoffs. You know, offensively, I give Harry a lot of credit. You know, put a lot on his shoulders. We brought Art Tompkins in. He did a nice job. Chris Davis stepped up for us. Trayvon Mathis. You know, we got to utilize our receivers a little bit more. And, you know, Joel had some nice runs, and the offensive line did some nice things. We kept shooting ourselves in the foot, a couple penalties, and that muff punt.
Well, you got some great contributions tonight. And, George, you're going to be a tough match for somebody in the playoffs next week. Good luck to you in the second season.
Thanks a lot, Ellis. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank
George
you.
Novak, the head coach of the Woodland Hills Wolverines. His team victorious here tonight, 19-7 over Penn Hills. 7 wins in a row now for Woody High, and that's a pretty good horse to ride.
And thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. I just felt like saying that because, Coach, you know, I tell you the truth. I think you both established so many great points. And really, I'm glad that he was able there at the end to rattle off a lot of the contributors that might otherwise not get the attention. We talked a lot about Tompkins. He's earned that. Those words that you heard his quarterback mention about him being the hardest worker, one of the hardest workers. Well, you know what? That must be true. Coach told me that. The kid told us that. And you saw today him being able to come in, fill the void, and really rely on the offensive line. But I agree with him. They got to tighten up that pass game a little bit.
It's time for you to get some rest now, because the playoffs are going to start next week, and you're going to see them right here on Xfinity TV On Demand. That does it for our Pittsburgh Sports Report post-game show with Ellis Cannon, Katie Lightholder, our entire Viewpoint Production Services crew here working for Xfinity TV On Demand, and for those who watch along tonight on the Pennsylvania Cable Network. I'm Chris Shovlin. Thank you so much. Woody High wins 7 in a row now. 19-7 over Penn Hills here in the East Hills tonight.